if the brain could talk. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and I would like to welcome you officially to the last mini-series of the Shower Podcast project. Since we are so close to my desired goal of 365 days of consecutive podcasting, I thought to make it special. And I realized that throughout this year, something was missing from the podcast. Usually on podcasts, you have guests, but due to logistic problems, as you can see, my shower is not that big. We didn't have a chance to have guests on the podcast. But while thinking about all the things that we have discussed, there is somebody that could be part of our podcast, even though we will have to work with a bit of imagination. As you have seen from the title, this mini-series will be named "What If the Brain Could Talk?" And I really thought, what if parts of our brain, our motivation, dopamine, sleep, neuroplasticity, all topics that we covered across the year in the Shower Podcast, could give us some hints on how to work with them, how we are working against them, and overall to give us some insights on how to properly use our brain. Here on the screen right now, you will see the list of all participants, and also one of them will be highlighted. This is because this series will run over 7 episodes, and each episode will have a certain guest on the show. I deliberately didn't want to use AI for the voices. Let's say I still wanted to make it sound like all the other episodes of the Shower Podcast. So when the guest will be talking, you will hear a slight difference in my voice. I hope that you'll be able to enjoy it and that it will make it a bit fun and different to listen to. And overall, I believe that it was the right compromise. Having said that, that was all for today. Thank you very much for listening. If you made it so far and overall want to give a last push to the Shower Podcast, remember the liking and subscribing really mean a lot for me. And having said that, I will leave you directly with the interview and enjoy the episode.
Thanks for having me. I'm Sleep. Sorry, bad practice. Most people treat me like a luxury add-on, like heated seats in a car. But I'm not. I'm actually part of the engine. When you're awake, your brain is great at taking in new information. We all know that. But when you're asleep, your brain shifts into a mode that's better at stabilizing what you learn, reorganizing it, and deciding what's worth keeping. That basic division shows up over and over in sleep and memory literature, especially in the big reviews that look across decades of experiments.
Okay, I already feel attacked because I've definitely introduced you as an optional in my calendar, but when I say I'll just learn it tonight and grind it tomorrow, what do you say back?
Well, I'd say you're trying to build a house while the concrete is still wet. Sure, you might be able to do it, but the structure won't hold the same way. During certain parts of non-REM sleep, the brain replays patterns of recent experience and gradually shifts them from fast, fragile storage towards more stable networks. That's one reason sleep helps both, I memorize this, learning part and skill learning, depending on what you practiced and how. The point is not that sleep magically injects knowledge into you. I'm not doing that. The point is that it gives your brain time to do the background work of consolidating and integration.
Okay, so I can't outsource the work to tomorrow me, but I also can't just bully the brain into keeping everything. It kind of checks out. What I feel is that people love to say sleep on it when making decisions. Is that just a phrase, or are you actually doing something there?
There is some truth to that phrase. There have been studies where people train on a problem that has a hidden rule. And after a night of sleep, they're significantly more likely to suddenly notice the rule and solve it in a new way. One classic experiment found that sleep more than doubled the chance of gaining that kind of insight compared to staying awake, for example. And that's not because sleep makes you smarter in the moment. I wish to take that credit, but I cannot. But it's because sleep can restructure memory representations, which sometimes makes the pattern easier to see when you wake up.
That makes me feel better about one of my most productive hobbies, just sitting down on the sofa and napping. But let's talk mood, because people also say, I'm just emotional today, like it's weather. Do you do something there? What do you do there?
Sleep is part of emotional regulation, whether you acknowledge it or not. When you miss sleep, the brain's emotional circuits can become more reactive. That's true. And the connection between emotion-generating regions and the prefrontal areas that help regulate them can weaken. That is true. But there's a well-known paper showing amplified amygdala responses to negative stimuli after sleep deprivation, alongside reduced prefrontal coupling, which is a polite way of saying your brain can feel more like a raw nerve with fewer breaks. It doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're under recover.
So if someone says, I'm overreacting, the honest response might be, no, you're just undersleeping. I'm going to use that next time it happens to me. One thing people do at night is bargain with you. They get tired, they go to bed, and then their brain starts auditioning thoughts like it's a talent show. What's going on there? Shouldn't you make it easy for us to go to sleep?
Yeah, you're describing that awkward handoff between high input and low input. If you spend the last hour feeding your brain novelty, light, and unfinished business, you're asking me to start the night while the stage is still loud. I'm not a switch, I wish, but I'm not. I'm a transition. The gentlest approach is to make the runway boring in a good way. Lower the light, reduce the emotional spikes, give yourself a clear tomorrow plan so your brain doesn't have to keep rehearsing it, and let the body learn a predictable descent. I'm not giving medical advice here, of course, just the general principle. The brain falls asleep more easily when it's not being asked to perform.
Yeah, we all wish that our doom scrolling in bed would be asking our brain to perform, but yeah, it checks out. Last question. If you had to explain why you matter beyond memory and mood, because those are the topics that we covered mostly today, what's the deeper story? What would you like to leave us as a last comment?
Recently, there has been a broader hypothesis that sleep helps reset the brain's plasticity budget. One influential idea, the synaptic homeostasis hypothesis, suggests that wakefulness tends to increase synaptic strength across many circuits, and slow-wave sleep helps downscale that strength to a sustainable level, which can support learning efficiency and restore capacity. You don't need to pick a side in academic debates to take the practical message. So if what I said before was a bit cumbersome, just listen to this. Sleep isn't dead time, period. It's maintenance, calibration, and preparation for the next day learning.
Sleep, thank you very much. I have to say, I feel more awake than when I started this episode. And thank you very much for all the insights that you've given us. If I had to sum up what you just told me in today's episode, it's that you're not a break from life. You're a core part of how the brain holds onto what is learned, reshapes it into something usable, and keeps emotions from running the whole show. And you're also the reason sleep on it sometimes works, because the brain can reorganize memories enough for insight to click the next day. And maybe the most important part is that we should consider you as maintenance, not as a weakness. The system resetting so tomorrow's focus and learning even have a chance. Thank you very much again for being here. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment. And it was a pleasure. Welcome back. I hope you managed to enjoy today's episode. Let me know in the comments what are your thoughts, and if you have any questions overall, I'll try my best to reach out to our guest and complete any kind of knowledge gap that might have been there. If you made it so far, thank you very much. As always, feel free to interact with this content in any way, shape, or form by liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. Whatever works for you works for me. And as usual, stay consistent, stay resilient. This was the Shower Podcast, and I'll see you tomorrow with another guest.